just got done watching Heart of Stone. This is going to be a non-spoiler movie review for Netflix's brand new globe-trotting action film, and well, I'm here to tell you why I found this film quite forgettable. Is it the worst film I've ever seen? No. But sometimes I think, you know what's worse than a terrible film? It's just a generic one. Because they become forgettable to the point where I felt like I could have been doing like 30 other things. And as a point of reference, I actually got to see this movie in theaters. That's how I prefer to see any movie, because I love supporting the movie theaters. I love supporting cinema. I wish Netflix would put more of their movies in theaters. Good, bad, doesn't matter. But I would say if I was watching this at home, I don't know if I would have finished it in one sitting. It probably would have taken a couple of sittings. And a lot of that is because the film just is a little bit broken. And there's a lot of very generic elements to it. And we're going to talk about all those because there is some positivity to the film, because that's one thing I do like to sit over here and talk about. But I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. Are you excited for this movie? Are you fans of Gal Gadot? Make sure to also hit that like and subscribe button because we love talking movies over here on a daily basis. But with that said, what is Heart of Stone about? It's about an intelligence operative who works for a shadow global peacekeeping agency who now has to race to stop a hacker from stealing its most valuable and dangerous weapon. Sounds pretty familiar, right? In fact, this film's story actually has a lot in kind of the same vein of Dead Reckoning when it comes down to AI and weaponry and how that's supposed to work. It all takes place in one film, but it stars the likes of Gal Gadot, Bhatt, and Jamie Dornan. And, you know, Netflix films are very hit or miss for me. I think their television shows are like pretty nonstop great, most of them at least. But their movies, when it comes down to like action films, I either am getting like something so shockingly, surprisingly good, or something so generic. And usually if it can land in the generic category, there is some interesting aspects to that, because starting with my pros, I do think Heart of Stone actually has an interesting idea. The way that, yes, it might have some ideas borrowed from other action thrillers that we've seen prior and other spy globe-trotting adventures, you've seen the film before. But what it actually does with the AI and kind of this peacekeeping agency, all of the elements within that, all the buildup, that stuff was actually quite fascinating. Alongside, I actually really dug the characters involved. In fact, Heart of Stone feels like a TV show at times. Like the way that the story is very much built up, and that's not a pro, nor is it a con. Well, I guess it would be more of a con. But just to kind of get out of my thoughts, I actually wish this was a television show. Episode to episode, Gal Gadot leading the show. I actually think that would have worked better. It would have fleshed out the characters more. It would have fleshed out the concept more. Because that's my biggest thing, is that the concept, there's so many ideas in here. All ideas that are intriguing. All ideas that make me intrigued to want to continue watching this. And characters that I like the idea of where these characters are from. I like the idea of how they interspliced Gal Gadot's character, Rachel Stone, into this world. And when you kind of start to get the gist of where she was, because when the film starts and you see where her character is, you're like, oh, that's different than I've ever seen before. And then it jumps right into what you expect from her. And I wish they would have kept maybe the first thing, but then I also do like how she is this like best agent out there. And there's a lot of cool things to that. I like the code names of like Jack of Hearts, Nomad, all these different scenarios. Quite fun. I just wish the film was more memorable. Besides some good performances, because I do think the performances are good in here. I think Gal is good. Alia, Bhatt is good as well. Actually, one of the most surprising performances in here, because at first I was like, this kid's going to be annoying. But as you start to kind of learn a little bit more about her, I like that. But again, a television show would have fleshed that out a little bit more. And Jamie Dornan, I just think the guy is just stellar in every role. I just wish he had a little bit more to do. But when it comes down to this whole idea, this story is just the one thing holding everything together. And it feels rushed, and it definitely feels like a TV film. It definitely feels like a streaming movie. And maybe you're watching this on Netflix and you're like, that was kind of fun. But I promise you, you're probably going to forget about it. And that's how I felt. I can barely remember half the movie. And I just got done watching it, drove 25 minutes home, flipped the camera on, and here I am. And a lot of that kind of just goes to how the film was edited, how it was crafted, and how rushed it was. To the point where I just sat there going, I've seen this bald before. Nothing sticks out to this except the concept and the idea and how they actually play out this agency. But even then, the one thing I will say, when it comes down to an action film or anything like that, there's 3 things that I look for, at least for me. Amazing action, which this film does not have. Amazing stunts that can literally fix a lot of issues. Or a very intelligent story that while maybe the action's not the best, maybe this isn't the best, but I can really dig the idea of it. And while I liked this idea, the idea felt rushed. And that's where I was disappointed. So, rounding out that, let's, I guess, dive into the cons. Let's get into my issues with this film. And my issues all stem, first off, from the editing and the action. It's always nervous because I never saw a trailer for this. And I'm sitting there watching and I'm like, all right, we're building up to the first action scene. When we get to it, I'm going to see how this film's going to play out. And woof. Starts playing out and I'm like, yeah, not my cup of tea. Not my cup of tea. Just feels like this. Like that's what it looks like. And thought we were over this. Why can't you just show the stunts happening? Like, why does it got to look like that? And it gives you a headache. And so then, okay, fine, the action scenes aren't great, but show me the stunts. The stunts are going to be great, right? No. Again, edited like that, which bugs me. And it sucks because maybe if this was the first action film I would have seen of the year, I would be like, okay, that's just fun. It was fine. I won't remember it, but I could recommend it for a nice little Saturday watch. But when you have so many other action films out there, it's hard for me to recommend because I would just rather recommend you go watch one of those other films that deserve your support. And not to say that this film is terrible. It's just so generic, man. So yeah, it lacked on both of those. No memorable action scenes, no memorable stunts. There's some cool sequences, but again, they're all terribly executed in editing. So I couldn't really even tell what was going on. Then just the rest would be nitpicks. Lack of character development, lack of the ideas being really much fleshed out a little bit more. A tiresome movie that just makes me feel, where did all the money go that went into making this film? It just feels very TV-ish. And again, I saw it in theaters, so maybe that adds to it. But I really still feel like I would be saying the same thing, that yes, this does belong on a streaming service. I'm happy I saw it in theaters, but I'll never watch this film again. And I'm very disappointed to say that. Because truly enough, Gal Gadot can't save this film. She's good, she's charismatic, she's lovable. I love seeing her in these type of roles. But this isn't the type of movie for her. Alia Bhatt, great. Jamie Dornan, great. I like the ideas. I just wish they were all executed better. I wish the stunts were executed better and editing and everything of that nature. And I wish the action was filmed a whole other better, or at least edited better to the point where I could see stuff going on. Because if you had at least memorable action scenes, the rest of it could be. There's a couple moments in this movie where I go, yeah, that's memorable. Oh, there's a twist in here that I was like, okay, I saw that coming, but the way it played out, okay, that's cool. But then like 10 minutes later, there's more things that just bug me. And I really feel like this is a script that someone wrote as like a 10-episode miniseries. And then they looked at it and they're like, well, Gal will only do it, or like, we can only really afford to do a TV show on this. So they crammed it all together. I'm disappointed. I was hoping this would be a surprise, a shock. But sadly, it's very generic. It's very forgettable. And I'm going to give Heart of Stone a D+. And it hurts my heart to say that. I hate giving anything under a C. because everyone tries, but I think they did try on this one. It's just this film wasn't jiving with me, and I went into this movie with zero expectations, never seeing a trailer, just wanted to enjoy it, and I walked away just going, meh. Was really hoping this was going to be Gal's, like, okay, you know, if she doesn't have Wonder Woman, this could be her next big action franchise. This could be something of that nature, and it just wasn't. So let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are. Thank you so much again for watching this. This is my channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe. And we have tons of movie reviews, tons of TV reviews coming up soon. And of course, until next time, stay classy.